Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Flan Pleasant in the advice subreddit about a month ago. The post is titled, "I was told by my wife that she wants a break. I and my wife have been together for 7 years and married for almost 2. We have a beautiful 1-year-old and I thought everything was perfect for us. It has been a rough week, but I was informed that she wanted a break between us. It came out of left field and I was lost about what could have happened. She expressed that she needed space to think about what she wants to do and find herself again. Since I understand that being the sole provider for our family means that she has all the time at home to take care of our child, she also has the freedom to relax. She said she wasn't sure who she was anymore since her identity had changed from who she was to now being a mom. I understand that having a child is a very big moment and also a dramatic change to our dynamic and relationship. She expressed that I have not met her needs and she has no love nor feels happy with me anymore. I'm not her safe space even though I have been trying so hard to provide and give love to both my child and my wife. Working 10 to 12 hours a day, and whenever I am home, whether I'm off or come home from work, I make sure to take care of our child so she does have her own time to do what she would like to do and have her own time, since being a stay-at-home mom is not easy. I noted that all the stuff we have isn't joint and we don't have a house together, we just have an apartment. She has been talking to a new friend group in an online video game recently, and this was way before she told me that she wanted to take a break from me. I noticed that she has been talking to this new guy and I seem to be concerned since they would talk all day and all night. I expressed my concerns regarding it and she just said that he was like a brother to her. I trust my wife and I didn't think that I would have to talk to this guy and let him know that she was married because I trust her to know when to nip things in the bud if it comes to that." A day later, after being told to take a break, I did my best to provide her with the space so she can think about what she's feeling. However, it just looked like to me that she just always wanted to talk to this guy and also her new friend group. I was told that her friend group and this guy knew she was married and I did not want to think of the worst case scenario. A few hours later, I was told by a good friend of mine that she has been oversharing her needs and saying that I did not meet her needs anymore, but mentioned that this guy she's been talking to could. She said that they have more compatibility even though she has never met him before in real life. I was devastated to hear that because I thought I did everything I could to make her happy, providing the home and food for our family. Later that night, I checked call logs and texts from this guy, and to my surprise, they had been sending explicit messages to each other and asking questions about him sexually, comparing me to him to the point that they had gotten off while on chat or phone call. She later found out that I found all this out and was sorry for her actions, but she still wants to talk to this guy because she was worried about his mental state after I caught them in the act. From the very beginning of the break, I felt like my feelings were never considered in the first place. I just have to focus on my child to get me through the times in my own home that I'm providing. Even though she's openly talking and video chatting with this guy, I know she's craving that attention since he is the one giving it to her, but she doesn't think that me providing for our family is not a show of love. I want this marriage to work because I love her, even though she emotionally cheated and we have a child together. However, it's so hard to find the will to keep trying if she's talking to this guy whenever I'm at work and when I come home from work. Is it my fault that she's seeking this attention from someone else she never met? Should I have done a better job showing her the love that she deserves? I regret any instance where she mentioned that I'm not showing her the love that she wants, and I'm willing to work on them and keep fighting for our marriage. However, she has no reason or will to make it work because she does not believe that I will change. If we did go to marriage counseling, it wouldn't be beneficial for her since she does not see any love towards me and I'm not her safe space anymore. But this new guy is. She shows no will to make this work, and I understand that no one is perfect, but I feel like any suggestion or action that I do towards this is just for naught. User Fund Development said, "It's not going to work. Not only has she cheated on you, but she clearly doesn't want you anymore. I would suggest gathering information and seeing if you could keep the house and the child as you're the provider. I'm not saying you should leave her on the street, but hopefully her new guy can take her in. You seem like an amazing father and husband, and you deserve so much better." User A Fire Lullaby said, "She has been emotionally cheating. She didn't communicate with you. She only told you about a break after she got attention from someone else. She wants a break to be able to cheat without guilt. Call her out. Tell her she asked for a break, but she is talking to another man. That's not finding herself. That's jumping into another relationship. Will she be taking your son to go find herself in the arms of another man? Will she have her answers after having sex with a stranger once or twice? Are you going to wait for her to find her answers? What are your values? Your boundaries come from your values. Is honesty and integrity important to you? If it is, what are you going to do about your wife lying to you? If she is spending time trying to create a connection with another man, she is not focusing on your son. What are her priorities? Ask questions and don't let her give you vague answers. Anger is a sign that someone is violating a boundary or that a want or need is not being met. Are you able to feel your anger? Remember, boundaries teach people how to treat you. User OK Computer said, I'm an attorney. I have seen this type of scenario too many times. You got lucky. You have only been married a couple of years and only have one child. By the way, consider getting a DNA test on the baby. Dump her now. She will only get about a year of spousal support. You will pay child support. You will be able to spend time with your child. And you will be free to move on with your life and find a partner who is not unfaithful. Do not let her come back. Do not work on your issues. She is a cheater and she will remain a cheater. Do not say you were not warned. Update. I honestly didn't think this would get so many comments and views. I'm also surprised by how often this happens and how big the internet really is. Thank you for taking the time to read what I've been feeling. I'm not saying I'm perfect, far from it. There are faults that I have to work on to be a better partner in the future. I understand that only providing for the family isn't the only thing while raising a child and keeping a family together. There are many instances where I wish I had done more so she would feel special and cherished like she wanted. There's only so much that people can do, and I see that she was just looking for the missing attention that I wasn't giving her. Unfortunately, she has a mindset that I'm not going to change or I don't have it in me to meet her needs, and she does not see any romantic feelings towards me. At this point, like many people mentioned, there's only so much I can do, but I need to focus on my child's safety and well-being. I have to stand up and show her that if that's what she wants, then so be it. Unfortunately, that means we weren't meant to be, but that doesn't erase all the good memories we had together throughout the years. My main priority is our child and my well-being. If I can't keep my head up and have respect for myself, then how can I be there for the kid? Also, I've gone gray rock and just ask for updates regarding the child whenever I'm at work. I've talked to reduce my hours so I can work 8 to 9 hours depending on if I stay longer for customers. I've gotten in contact with a few lawyers and am going to call them for questions about what to expect and to get more guidance. I'll keep you guys posted if this is still interesting to you. Thank you for your comments and also for your sincere apologies that I'm going through this. PSA. For everyone's thoughts, yes, I have screenshots of messages and call logs such as timestamps and also the duration of the calls. I always have access to the call logs since I'm the main account holder for our phone plan. They are still calling and video chatting, so I'm just gathering more evidence. The messages are obviously explicit and concerning. I haven't read all of them, but since the first time I checked her phone, she changed the password, so I'm just relying on messages on Discord on her computer. So whenever I get a chance, I'll gather more information until I feel like I have enough. And yes, her family knows the whole situation and doesn't understand why this is happening or why she is so willing to go for this guy. Now, she's trying to justify her cheating by saying that I cheated due to her giving me a mark that she doesn't remember giving. It's odd for me to be doing dishes at 5 a.m. if I wake up early due to taking care of our kid if they wake up early. It just shows another example of her not wanting to take accountability for her actions and shifting the blame. I'm 100% open to taking a polygraph at this point just to prove her wrong and make her realize what she's doing or thinking. Update 2. A lot has happened since the last update, but I started to focus on my well-being and mental state, along with making sure my child has the love and attention she deserves. I came back home from the gym, showered, and started spending time with the kid. My soon-to-be ex-wife decided to leave her computer unattended. I was already being dragged into her friend group, and I noticed a few messages that were being sent on her phone, which is linked to her computer. There were lots of hateful messages saying that I'm trying too hard to win her back, stating that I went to therapy and that it's cringe how hard I'm trying. They purposefully said that she's ignoring me because she doesn't want to be involved with me and just keeps laughing about what I'm doing. Even though I'm not doing all this for her, I accepted the fact that I need to move on and just be the best dad for our child and learn to co-parent. For her to act civil to me, but in reality be trash talking about me to all her friends and the guy she's still in contact with and referring to me as her ex, I blew up. She asked me what everyone thinks is gonna happen. That right there tells me you're only going to therapy and counseling just to check it off. There was no saving the relationship to begin with. I told her that if she wants to leave so badly and be with this guy, she should go ahead and leave. She chose to step out of this marriage and family. She has until the end of February to get out, and the baby is staying here. She asked if she can visit and see her kid, and I said yes, you're her mother. Let me know when you want to see her. I'm not preventing you from seeing your kid. I want her to know that at the end of the day, you're her mother and I'm her father. She agreed and said she'll be out of my hair as soon as she can. Noted that all this is happening with her on the phone with the new babe. So yeah, that's the update. I'm not trying to be a doormat, but enough is enough. I'm still in contact with lawyers, but it seems like she's just willing to let it go to the point where I might not need one. However, I will still do my due diligence to protect myself and our child. She's leaving next week and is still headfirst into being with this other guy. She had the audacity to ask me if she can get birth control through my insurance, and I declined because the main reason for it is so she can do whatever she wants with this guy. He's trying to get his own place so she can move in, and she's driving all the way there. It's still a wild situation, but we are in agreement regarding our child. Divorce papers are written and filed, as is the custody agreement we agreed upon. Everyone in the family is just disappointed and frustrated at the situation. However, there's only so much that we can do, and she's not willing to listen to anyone else besides her new guy and the friend group. Either way, I hope she finds happiness with him, but if it goes south, she's not coming back. The second post was made in the AIO subreddit by a user named Dependent Odd. The post is titled, "My boyfriend came home with makeup on his shirt after a night out. Last night, my boyfriend told me he was just going to grab a drink with his friend. However, he didn't come home until 4 a.m. When he finally stumbled in, I immediately smelled perfume, a strong floral scent that I don't wear. Then I noticed a makeup on his shirt, like actual smudges. I asked him where he went and he brushed me off, acting as if I was crazy for even questioning him. His saying he was going to grab a drink made it seem like he wouldn't be out until late. He said I was being too emotional again and that I always assume the worst. But I don't know. I feel like my gut is screaming at me that something happened. Would I be overreacting if I asked his friend what really happened or if I went through his phone to see for myself? Because at this point, I feel like I need proof before I lose my mind. Update. My boyfriend came home late the other night and I was super suspicious. I couldn't help but check his phone. I knew something was off, so I waited until he was asleep and went through his messages. He said he was just going out for just a drink with his friend. It wasn't just a drink, he went to a strip club, but that's not even the worst part. I found texts between him and his friend talking about how good the night was. He straight up admitted to getting a private lap dance. He even described the dancer, saying she was so hot and that she literally changed his type to blondes. I just sat there staring at the screen, reading those words over and over again. Because I'm a brunette. When I woke him up and confronted him, he barely looked guilty. He just sighed and said, "It's not a big deal, it was just for fun." Like my feelings meant nothing. I broke up with him on the spot. User Entreaty said, "No shade to anyone who frequents strip clubs, but lying to your significant other so you can sneak out to go to one is about as red flag-like as they come." To this user suspicious treat said, "I told my ex that I didn't care if he went to strip clubs as long as he didn't lie about it. His friend accidentally spilled the beans that they both got a lap dance because it was 2 for 1, despite him specifically saying they had not been there when I asked a week before. My ex kept elbowing his friend and telling him not to tell me anything. I was livid and the friend made me out to be a controlling psycho. For some reason, I continued to date him for another year until his behavior got truly awful." User Laura Lynn said, "Here's the thing about strip clubs. They're okay in some relationships and not in others. To each their own and all that. I don't judge what's okay in relationships I'm not in. What's never acceptable is to lie to your significant other about going to one when you know that your significant other is not okay with it. Being on the same page about boundaries surrounding sex work is extremely important because breaking those boundaries is relationship ending." User New for 2023 said, "If it quacks like a duck, it doesn't always work. My significant other found a bra she didn't recognize in the wash. It made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Of course, she knew it wasn't hers, and where do you go from there? 2 weeks of very strained hassle went on until her mom came over, saw it, and said, 'Oh, that's where that is.' I have no idea how that happened. There was probably some explanation at the time that made sense, but that certainly didn't help anything. She never was much of a fan, so I do wonder if she was trying to cause hassle intentionally." This final post was made in the legal advice subreddit by a user named Legal to Sue. The post is titled, "Terminated. Company says I can't sue. I held a management position at a company. I asked a non-management employee of the opposite sex to step into another room to discuss her performance away from other employees. She was going through a divorce and had made a few mistakes, and while I didn't want to embarrass her, I did want to make sure the mistakes were addressed. She acknowledged them and thanked me. An hour later, I was escorted from my office by security and was informed by my boss that a sexual harassment complaint had been made and proper protocol was to suspend me. I asked what it was and was told, "We need to investigate. I can't disclose that." He assured me that it shouldn't take long, and if I wasn't guilty of anything, I'd be paid for the time out. I again asked what the accusation was and was told that as there was an ongoing investigation, I was not permitted to know, but if they had questions, I would be contacted. I wasn't happy, but knowing that I didn't do anything wrong, I left the building. Later that night, I received a notification on my phone that my email password was incorrect. After 2 days, I called my boss asking for an update and was told he was not available, but I would hear something soon. I began calling daily and received the same response. Finally, I received a letter in the mail informing me that I was terminated for exposing myself and requesting sexual favors from an employee. The employee listed was the young lady I had pulled into the side room. I immediately called my boss and was told he is unavailable and said to say the matter is closed. My buddy, the IT guy, messaged me on Facebook asking what happened as he'd been told to deactivate my accounts. When I told him the whole story, he replied, "You took her into the X room? Dude, there's a security camera in there. We keep it on all the time." Sure enough, he pulled the footage and there I was holding a pile of papers, pointing to them and keeping my pants on the whole time. I left a message for my boss that the alleged incident occurred in a room with surveillance and that I would be contacting an attorney and subpoenaing the video record. I received a call back 15 minutes later asking me to please participate in a phone conference with him and HR. The conference went as expected. They didn't realize it had occurred in a room with surveillance. They have a zero-tolerance policy that they have to enforce. You can't be too careful in this day and age. They regret that this didn't come to light sooner. They've already replaced me, and as it wouldn't be fair to terminate my replacement as she's done nothing wrong, they don't have a job to offer me back. However, as a gesture of goodwill, they're going to pay me through my suspension, change my file so it reads that I voluntarily resigned, and provide me a good reference. I replied that wasn't acceptable. They made a false accusation against me, withheld vital information that I could have easily refuted, refused to take my calls, and completely failed in their own investigation by not checking video footage that would have immediately exonerated me. They asked what I thought would be fair. I told them they could immediately terminate the employee who made the accusation and either give me my job back or pay me out 1 year's salary in addition to what was offered. My boss said that he could not discuss another employee with me and that neither of those options is feasible. The only options I have are what he already offered. I replied that the options I gave are the only way I'm not going to sue the company along with the employee. My boss replied that I signed an agreement when I was first hired saying I would take all disputes through arbitration and that I waived my right to sue the company. I do not remember signing the agreement and I have not seen it, but it apparently says that I will take all disputes to arbitration, I will bear the costs of arbitration, and that I will accept the decision in arbitration. He stated that I will not fare any better in arbitration than he's already offered, and I'll be out the money to cover the arbitration. I feel like I'm being bullied here. And I don't think he would have scheduled a phone conference with such immediacy if he didn't think the company was vulnerable to a lawsuit. I'm waiting on a callback from a few employment attorneys. Do I have a case? Am I wrong to feel that this is unacceptable? User Orium said, "Don't take legal advice from your opponent. Of course, you can sue. The feasibility of winning that suit is best discussed with your attorney." A deleted user said, "You have no case against the company. Unless you have an employment contract, which is unlikely, the company can fire you for an unsubstantiated allegation of sexual misconduct. They are not a court of law. They don't have to consider all the evidence or give you a chance to present your case. They can legally fire you even if they know it's not true. You may have a defamation claim against the employee who made the claim, but nothing against the company. You should file for unemployment." To this, OP said, "I don't think fighting unemployment is something they intend to do. They were basically saying that they wouldn't tell future employers that I was terminated, but rather that I voluntarily resigned." Update. Quite a bit has happened in the last few weeks. A friend of mine at another company, after hearing what happened, told me his company had an opening. I applied, interviewed, and at the end, the manager asked me what I liked to be called. 2 days later, I got a call saying they'd gone with another candidate. My friend admitted to me that he'd gotten some flack for recommending me. Apparently, HR had worked with one of the employees at my former company and called the employee to ask what the deal was with me, to which the employee responded, he got fired for sexually assaulting a subordinate. I think he's actually being charged criminally. I'm literally crying as I type this. It's a nightmare that won't end. Long story short, I lost my temper, called up my old company, but my boss wouldn't get on the phone with me. I had an attorney draft a letter of demand and send it off. I had another phone conference scheduled. They once again regret that an employee provided a reference outside of the prescribed channels. The employee was coached on the proper way to handle such requests. My attorney informed them that in addition to wrongful termination, we would be adding defamation to our complaint against them. They insist that they have not broken any laws and cannot control the actions of an individual employee who went against company policy. So we're at an impasse there. Either I move ahead against them or I walk away. At this point, I'm ready to drag this through court. I tried to take the high road and go elsewhere, but they're regretting a lot that they've done to me without any action to correct it. Oh, I almost forgot. A few days after my last post, they sent me a packet of papers, standard non-disclosure notifications, COBRA, and a blank copy of the arbitration agreement for me to sign. Why a blank one, you ask? Well, it seems somebody messed up. They weren't making people sign when I was hired, and HR never bothered to have me sign the agreement when I worked there. I, of course, have signed nothing that they sent me, including that agreement. I considered allowing arbitration if they pay the costs, and I have approval over who is selected, but my attorney has advised against it. I wish I had better news to report. Things aren't as hopeless as they'd first seemed, but not as easily fixable either. As for the employee who made the accusation, I know you're eager to hear, but at this point, I can't comment on what's happening there. Thanks for all the advice and support so far. I promise to update when everything resolves, if not sooner, as much as I can. Update 2. Everything has resolved and I've been wanting to give you guys an update, but I had to wait until my lawyer gave me the okay to talk about things. So let's start from the beginning. I pulled one of my direct reports, Deborah, into another room to discuss a few mistakes she made, but I did not discipline her further. After this, she went to Joyce, one of the managers above me, but not in my direct line of report, equal to my boss in terms of reporting structure. When Joyce heard that I had taken Deborah into another room without any witnesses, she said to her that it was unprofessional. Apparently, her exact words were, "You know, you could accuse him of being inappropriate with you and I would have no choice but to believe you." This was repeated several times with a strong emphasis on no choice. Joyce then asked Deborah if I had been inappropriate with her, saying, "It will only happen again if you don't speak up now. If you do now, we can take action." Taking the not at all subtle hint from Joyce, Deborah accused me of exposing myself to her, and I was placed on leave pending an investigation. Joyce immediately sent out an email stating that nobody besides the secretary was to speak with me without an attorney present, and she told the IT guy, Paul, to deactivate my access. James, my boss, had a resume from Terry, an employee in Joyce's department, applying for my job before the close of business that day, and she was hired. Paul and I talked, and he provided me with video proving my innocence. The company continued to stonewall me and refused to talk to me. When they did, they attempted to push me into arbitration and to retroactively sign an arbitration agreement. I cut my losses, took another job, and was ready to move on. Sandy, an employee in Joyce's department, broke protocol, talked to HR at the new company, and told them I had sexually assaulted a subordinate, which cost me the job. So that brings us up to date. My attorney and I launched a civil suit against the company and Deborah. You might be wondering how I know the above. Well, good old Joyce said she'd protect Deborah if she came forward. Unfortunately, that only extended to her job. So when she was named individually in this suit, corporate told her they would not be providing her an attorney. After realizing that she'd be putting her house up for collateral, she was all too willing to throw Joyce under the bus. Joyce went to Paul, the IT guy, who was one of her reports, and gave him a list of footage to be procedurally wiped as part of an archive clear-out. He pointed out that the incident with me was on that list and part of an ongoing investigation. Joyce told him that it was no longer needed and to go ahead and wipe it. He refused, citing the fact that it would still be requested in the event that the suit moved forward. She told him to pack his things as he was being terminated for insubordination. He called the company attorney and informed her what had happened. The aftermath. Several things happened at once, so I'll try to keep them as chronological as I can. Deborah's attorney contacted mine, stating that conditional on me dropping the suit, she would admit that she lied and explain what went on behind the scenes. Dana, the company attorney, got the call from my attorney with the details from Deborah shortly after she finished talking with Paul about him being terminated for refusing to destroy evidence. Deborah and Joyce were terminated for cause that day. Paul was told that his job was safe. My attorney received a call and it was made clear that the company didn't want this to go any further and wanted to talk about a settlement. I won't go into all of the details, but what I can say is that I was offered my job back with a very fair increase. I received back pay from the date of suspension and a public apology was offered from the very top. Terry is now working in Joyce's old position. She's incredibly cool about things and felt horrified when she found out what happened. James and I are good now and he has personally apologized for not sticking up for me. This will likely be my final update. There is still some legal battle ongoing, but I can't go into that too much. Thank you for all of your support and encouragement. You guys rock. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.